Today we're going to be sewing a really simple doll diaper, and this is going to be our transition into cloth diaper sewing month. This entire month I'm going to be doing cloth diaper sewing tutorials based on my blog. I'll have a link in the description. I'll have a link also to this template. Super simple. This is a smaller size fold over elastic around the outside of a stretchy fabric. I'm using anti-pill fleece, but you could use cotton fleece, you could use a velour if it's a stretchy velour, you could use an old upcycled sweatshirt or t-shirts. I designed this when my daughter was in preschool because the preschool had a bunch of different small dolls and they didn't have diapers that would fit them all, and the kids wanted to just do a basic white diaper that looked like it could be a disposable diaper without wasting, tons of preemie disposable diapers. So this is super simple. It's got your Velcro, and this is just the 3/4 inch, I think. It's the cheapo craft Velcro. It's not high quality. These aren't going to be washed a ton. It's for non-wedding dolls. If you wanted to make one for a wedding doll, you'd need to put pull on the outside and an absorbent fabric on the inside or something, but you could still use the same template. And then this is the cheap, I think it's 3/4 inch or almost, maybe it's 1/2 inch. Fold over elastic that I was using for the masks, but you could also use the thinner 1-inch fold over elastic. That's what I used to use because I used to have a bunch of it around for making pull covers. And you're going to first put your Velcro onto your diaper, or if you want to do snaps, you can do snaps. And you're just going to cut it to approximately the length in the template. Doesn't have to be precise, this is just for a doll. I like to round the edges, but you can round it after you sew it or before. This is a super, just fly by the seat of your pants type sewing situation. It's just something to make the kids happy that their dolls have diapers. I mean, honestly, you could just tape a paper towel to a doll, but this one is something reusable. You can keep it in the doll chest with the rest of their clothes. My kids used to put them on their smaller stuffed animals too. It's just fun for dress up. Not super precise, but there's your little Velcro strip for the front. And you just center it in the top. And this is the loop side, not the hook side. And you just sew around that with a straight stitch. So there, you've got your front little Velcro strip sewn on, and you can make these in other colors too. I just did white so that it looked like a disposable, but you could totally make them with patterns or with bright colors, more like a cloth diaper. So if your child is cloth diapered or they have a sibling that is, then this would be a great way to make little matching diapers for their doll. You could do something cute to match an outfit. You could make it just like a pair of bloomers. It doesn't have to be a diaper, it could be bloomers, but it's just easy to put on and off because of the tabs. So you just do the front first, and you're going to add the ones for the wings when you're done. And now we're going to take our fold over elastic, and I like to do a little bit of a pre-crease to make it easier to go around. If you're using the thinner, wider fold over elastic, it is easier, and it's easier to get a bigger stretch. You can do a thicker edge. It's more durable, but this is just what I have around these days. And I set mine to my 3-step zigzag, which on mine is D, and I do it at about 2.5 for stitch length. It's the one that's the kind of jagged back and forth line, not the straight back and forth, but the back and forth that has the 3 little dashes in between each section. And that's what you use for sewing fold over elastic for most things. And I like to start at the front, but you can start at the back, you could start really anywhere, you could start on the side. When you're going across the front here, and around the corners on the tabs, you're not going to be, on the wings, you're not going to be pulling. You're going to be just kind of guiding it around. But when you go through the legs, you're going to be pulling it tight. And just go slow. Not a race. It'll be faster overall if you go slow and don't mess up and do silly mistakes. So I just place mine inside the guide on my universal foot, and it's the perfect width for this smaller fold-over elastic. And I just start off really slow, and then you can pick up some speed as you get a feel for it. And around the corners, I go really slow. It helps to do a little bit of a tug around the corners, but not enough to actually stretch it, just enough to hold it snug. Always sink your needle when you're moving. I know that the computerized fancier machines automatically do that, but mine doesn't, so. And then when I get to about there is when I start pulling at the stretch of the leg. So when I get to like about equal the distance below the Velcro as to the top, that's when I start pulling for my elastic. And you just go really gently, do like 1 inch at a time at first until you get a good feel for it. And just take it and pull it tight, and hold it over, and then hold it at the back and the front, and do small sections at a time. And that trick really is holding the back and the front. It helps you guide it through evenly while holding it pulled. And then when you get to that point, where you're just getting to the curve of the wing, you're going to relax it again. And just hold it snug but not pull. And then when you get about 1.5 inches to 2 inches in on the wings, you're going to pull it tight across the middle of the back again. And then when you get to that spot where you started pulling on the other side, you start pulling again. And I forgot to mention, the stretch in the fabric should go side to side, not top to bottom. Okay, and then you've gotten to that point again, like where you were when you started the stretch, and you relax it again. And then at this point, when you get close to your end here, you can either cut it ahead of time, or you can go till you're right up to it and then stop and then cut it. I don't pre-measure or pre-cut though. And right here, I'm going to take it and I'm going to cut it about 1/2 inch beyond so that it's overlapping a little bit. And a lot of people have fancier methods for cleaning up the edge, but what I do is the piece that's underneath, I just cut the very corner of it off. Like that. And I trim up the thread before I overlap it. And then I just try to line it up as close as possible. It's not perfect. You can basically decide which the front or the back you want to be cleaner, but for something like this, it doesn't have to be pretty. Then right when you get to that pucker point, you want to just lay it flat, put your foot down on top, and go back and forth a few times. You can use some fray stop to clean up the edge if you're worried about that. You can trim any pieces that are standing out a little bit. I never worried about it too much though. Okay. So now you've got the basic shape done and a little bit of an ugly overlap middle, but that doesn't matter. You could have put that at the back. You could have put it hidden on a side. It's totally up to you. The back is stretchy. The legs are stretchy and they're pulled in, you can see. Just the general shape. And you can make your Velcro tabs just the hooks on the wings, or you can make them the hook and the loop so they can overlap in the middle like we do for cloth diapers a lot. It just depends on how much work you want to put into it. You could also just put Velcro tabs on the inside edges and not have the long extending tabs. The thing about the extending tabs is they'll make it so you can fit a bigger doll. So if you have the extending tabs, you could have your diaper be worn all the way out to the edges like this. But if you have the kind that are just on the inside, then you're limited to being the maximum width as to where they would touch. So it's totally up to you. It depends on how big the doll you're working with is. If you're going to be doing the extended tabs, I like to do front and back, one side hook, one side loop, and then cut a little rectangle, and then just sew that around the edge. But for me, I'm just going to do the interior kind right now. I'm just going to cut off a little square or a little like short rectangle. And this is just the hook that I'm using. I'm going to round the outer edge just so it fits nicely against the fold over elastic. And you could also do snaps. Or you could do snap-on tabs. That's actually really easy as well. And that way you could take them off if it does need to get washed so it doesn't fray the material. Because fold-over elastic and Velcro can be a nightmare. Like, Velcro, if it snags fold-over elastic, can really make for an ugly mess. There's lots of ways you could do it, though. So for me, I've got my little rounded edge tab, and I'm just going to sew it right into the underside of mine. Switch back to your straight stitch. And just slowly go around it. I tend to often hand roll the wheel on the sewing machine for this part because when you're sewing with hook, it can catch really easily, especially going around a corner. It can be kind of tricky to sew with if you're just going fast with your sewing machine. But when you use the wheel, you can control it really well and go as slow as you need to go. And it's still a nice, even, machine sewn stitch. It's just, you've guided it yourself. And then I round out the inside too. Trim down my tab a little bit. So now you've got the one tab done. It folds in and just attaches. We'll do the other one. So I've rounded and cleaned up my little tabs. And I've cut off my extra threads. Now you've got this super simple little doll cloth diaper that stretches out quite large because everything stretches in it. So it can fit a very small doll. Not like a Barbie, but like one of those tiny little mini Cabbage Patch Kids, or one of those little like dolls that come in the little bassinets and stuff. It can shrink down, you know, as close as you want to do the tabs without any stretch to as big as everything being stretched out. So it's a very nice sort of universal doll diaper pattern. That's the finished product. Happy sewing. Take care.